Good day. Today is 31st May 2022. Today I thought of sharing my knowledge on Weheragala with you. You might ask, what is Weheragala? Weheragala, not going to talk about Weheragala, I'm going to talk about Weheragala Reservoir. I'm Professor M.T.R. Jayasinghe, Senior Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, University of Moratuwa. You'll ask, you are a professor of civil engineering, but you are a well-known structural engineer. What is your involvement in this Weheragala project? It's an irrigation or water management project. But I'm happy to say one of my students, Engineer Gunadasa, was the chief engineer who got it constructed. I would say he got it constructed. First, we should give full credit to Engineer A.D.S. Gunawardana, one of the greatest irrigation engineers. He's very old now, but still very active. And I first met him in 1986 when we visited the irrigation department, the modeling laboratory at close to the main irrigation department office, and he was the engineer in charge of that particular research laboratory. And the idea of that laboratory is to do various models and decide on the characteristics. But basically, that laboratory later became Lanka Hydraulics Institute, as far as I understand. So, Weheragala. Where is Weheragala? And why we need Weheragala? First, let's start with Lunugam Wehera. Lunugam Wehera is a huge reservoir on Kirinthiwaya. And towards the end of construction, they found it was a huge blunder. According to the data, they have used the wrong set of data. And according to that, Lunugam Wehera cannot spill at all. But this huge reservoir has been constructed. But within 10 years, all those calculations were proven totally wrong, and Lunugam Wehera spilled 5 times. You will ask how the hell that could be. How engineers get things so wrong. And that is usual way. So engineers do get things wrong when they use the wrong set of data. So you'll ask how all this flooding came. It's so simple. You have to understand Sri Lanka is a tropical country, but though it looks the same kind of weather pattern, Sri Lanka is on a 10-year well-known weather pattern. 2000, drier. 2001 could be dry or middle, and 2002, middle year, so it's average year. So all their calculations are based on these average years. And 2003 can be average, 2004 can be minor flood year, 2015 is definitely a huge flood year, 2016 is a huge flood year, 2017 is also huge. So I started with 5, so let's say 2010, 11, 12, middle years, 13, little wet, and 2014 can be a wet year, but little flooding. 2015, hugely wet year, and we had a massive flood that inundated whole Kalani Valley. I mean, unprecedented floods, about 1,000-year floods. 2016, again, huge flood. 2017, huge devastation in Matara, Ginganga and Nilwala basins. And I think 2016 was a huge flood in Kaluwaga basin. So one way or the other, they can be huge floods. 2017 was only minor floods. 2017 was huge flood. 2018 was minor floods. 2019 average year. 2020 a dry year. Generally it goes, but it can be even 2020 is an average year. But sometimes you got dry years because this climate 10-year pattern is also slightly altered by the climate change caused by very high concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. At current, it remains around 410, 415 range, and the moment it exceeds 450, we'll have a huge problem in the total climate change. So we are not far away from that figure because when the industrial revolution started, it was only 270. So we are living in a problem era, not due to one family, but due to climate change as well. So we have to take precautions on all these fronts. There's no point in fighting on one front. We have to fight on all these different fronts to ensure that our people are safe, will be safe in future, not only politically, but due to climate changes, so many other changes, energy problems, all should be addressed holistically rather than looking at in isolation. So when Weheragala was promoted, Mr. A.G.S. Gunadhan, as the Secretary of Ministry, said, we are not going to do it with foreign aid or whatever. We are going to use our own money and we'll use local labor, local expertise. We'll design it with local expertise and we'll construct it with local expertise. Because he knew about Gunadas and he knew his capacity and he knew about Surya Bandar. He knew about these engineers who are willing to go to jungle and construct reservoirs. So he himself, Mr. Gunadhan, he himself is that type of man who will go to the jungle and stay 1 year in jungle without coming home to look after his own daughter. And he has only one daughter, and he will not bother what happened to them. He will go to the jungle and stay and do the job. So Gunadasa is a very tough guy. He's only 5 years, 2 inches or 3 inches tall. Not a tall guy, short guy, but a brilliant engineer. So Gunadasa was appointed the chief engineer. 2005 estimate was 2,900 million. Gunadasa assured that the reservoir was completed with only 2,500 million. Then who is this Gunadasa? His engineer Gunadasa is a batchmate of Professor Manatunga and Professor Jagat Manatunga of Civil Engineering Department. And I taught all of them concrete design when they were in the final year. And I can't remember with whom he did that project, but there are a few other interesting stories I'll disclose later. So when the Gunadasa started the project in 2005, 2006, we saw the escalation of LTT activities, and 2007, 2006 and 2007, 2008, all these years were real war years. And during the war, using our own money, we constructed a huge reservoir, and that is called Weheragala. And the government of that time, led by President Mahinda Rajapaksa, supported the idea of we constructing our own reservoirs. So we did a wonderful set of work, and it's a huge reservoir, huge dam, huge reservoir, and huge spillway, and huge radial gates. So many radial gates. It's a very nice thing. You can go to it and see those. And in one of our engineer journal cover page, the feature was the spillway radial gates of Weheragala Reservoir. So it's a massive. Then you'll ask why the Weheragala was constructed across Maniganga. Maniganga was on is on the Ua province, whereas Kirindioya was on Hambantota province. So there was a little bit of dispute, but it was all sorted out amicably because all these rulers were from that area. So they decided, okay, it's not a big issue. We are going to go ahead with this particular thing. And then what happened was, there was so much entity activity. So Gunadasa got about 250 direct labor force. to work on it with basic machinery. And even the concrete mixers, he did not have batching plants. He had only few small concrete mixers that we use in house construction. So but he's a man who can never stop him. And he kept on going. And during LTT attacks, he had problems. We could not go to the site. Then the wildlife officials created all the problems that anybody can ever think of. Still, nobody can ever stop Gunadas. Kept on going, and he constructed, and he had ample support from various people like Samar Singh, our Mr. Kitsi Samar Singh's younger brother, and then Surya Bandara, one of the fine engineers I have taught. So they were all working like one group, and they were all going all out, and they were all supporting all the people at head office. They were all supporting Gunadasa, but he had to face the tune. So he had a CDMA phone, and he used to carry it everywhere. So a very nice story. One day our driver Gamini went with students, and he could see this guy going round and getting things done. He thought he's a good peon because he was wearing just a rubber slippers. And then after all this, he came to our urban van, Nissan urban van, and said, "Kamini ayya, api yamu." And then only Gamini realized this is Gunadasa, and how Gamini knew Gunadasa was. Gunadasa's father passed away in 1993 when they were all in final year, and Gamini was the driver who took all the students to the funeral house using our Rosa 307133 bus. So in 2009, it was about 1.5 years into the operation of Weheragala Reservoir. I also went with my wife, Thishan Jayasinghe, to see the Weheragala, and we went in our Land Rover 1986, 324731 Land Rover. When our Land Rover was not in a very good shape, engine was not in good shape, body was not in good shape, but our driver Shant drove at 100 kilometers per hour on that Adisiya Par or Surya area. And then when we went there, today that Land Rover body, when I was the head of department, I fully restored the Land Rover body, and in 2018 we fixed a new TDI 300 engine. So it's now a super vehicle. Only thing, there are a few other additions to be done. The moment we complete it, it will be one of the best Land Rovers in Sri Lanka, as it used to be the case when it was first imported to Sri Lanka as one of our link programs with Loughborough University. It's a British aid, a grant from British Council. Grant came via British Council for our link program on construction management. So Weheragala was completed, and Gunadas told me this whole story, and then he promised to give me a plaque which depicted the story of Dagab, and I donated it to the Dagab that was sponsored by my wife Chinta at Vakandavala next to Biliatta. And it was a temple run by, it was a Pirivana run by late Venerable Murakandevadu Punyaratana. He was a wonderful, very courageous monk, and he had a very bad village. So he rehabilitated the village by rehabilitating the kids, and the kids ensured that all the parents were rehabilitated. So if you are thinking outside the box, you can make wonders happen. And so even if you go there in front of the small Dagava, you can see that block. Then you'll ask, what happened to Gunadasa after that? After that, he said, in 3-4 months, I'm going to be a monk. I want to meditate. I want to be a meditating monk. And I have done my service to my country. I did it without worrying about my life. And I did it, and I saved 400 million to government of Sri Lanka. And I'm very grateful to all the engineers, Sri Lankan engineers, who helped me. Though I ran the job at site, we all did it, and today it's a masterpiece. So it collects water, releases gradually, no floods in Kataragama, plenty of water in Lungamvera. So it's an engineering marvel done by a small man, educated at Morato University. So you can see we have courage. If you have courage, capacity, if we start believing in us, we can do wonders. Thank you.